Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the Grave Domain Cleric mod in Baldur's Gate 3. This mod's made by Havsglimt. I'm aware there's some other Grave Domain Clerics, but this is one of my favorites. I really enjoy this subclass because it's more so focused on support. It enables your other teammates to be able to deal massive amounts of damage. It has a lot of great synergies, and it's Halloween month, October, so this is a perfect time to try one of these out. So with the Grave Domain at level 1, you get the Eyes of the Grave, instilling a sense of impending doom in the surrounding undead. Eyes fixated on the destruction of their unholy existence. For the duration of the spell, you have advantage when attacking undead, and they have disadvantage when attacks against you using an Eyes of the Grave charge. Now, we do get much better benefits at level 2, but we also get the Bane and False Life spells, and Spare the Dying, stabilize a down creature. This is great because normally, if you were to stabilize a down creature, it takes an action. This is a bonus action version of it. And we also get the Circle of Mortality here. Whenever you heal a downed creature, it recovers the maximum amount of health points. So if you have a spell that can do like 20 to 30, they'll get 30 whenever they are downed and you heal them. So very good for just helping out if your teammates go down. And that kind of happens when you're playing this game. For the cantrips, I'd recommend grabbing Toll the Dead as a wisdom save. Very good against goblins early game, guidance and Sacred Flame. And for the ability score spread, we're going to go 16 wisdom, 16 dexterity, and 14 constitution. Now this can only get medium armor proficiency. That's why we're going a little higher in the dexterity. My rationale is the initiative die in Baldur's Gate 3 is a d4, so if we can get a high boost to our dexterity, we can go first and apply the vulnerability. That's our level 2 ability, and we want to get that applied as much as possible. So we benefit from wearing medium armor that has extra bonuses from our dexterity modifier. Alternatively, you can go with a bit higher constitution, but I think this works better. Also, I know I'm going to get asked with the outfit. It's the Kiss of the Scourge mod. But next at level 2, this is when we get our Path to the Grave. This is our class action using our channel divinity here. Mark a target's life force for termination until the end of your next turn. The next time a creature is hit by an attack by you or an ally, it is vulnerability all that attacks damage. This becomes crazy if you have things like a chain of, like a scroll of disintegrate or chain lightning, but you can set up vulnerability to lightning and cold damage a little bit easier. And it's great if you have the dethrone spell, because this will set up some of the weaker damage types to be more powerful, like necrotic, fire. Yeah, it's really fun in that regard. We also get the Turn Undead, Pray to Eternal Undead as per usual as a cleric. And I'd still recommend grabbing Create Water. This is just a very good support spell. If there's invisible people, you can make them visible again. And it's great if you have any type of spellcaster that has lightning or cold damage because it'll double it. We also want Command. It's just an amazing spell to have. Healing Word, bonus action heals. Although we do have our ability to pick up down allies as bonus action, if we have spell slots, this will automatically do 7 healing because we maximize our healing rolls. Bless is always good, and Guiding Bolt just gives us some coverage for anything with radiant resist or no radiant resistances. Level 3 gives us our Ray of Enfeeblement and the Prayer of Healing, although these spells not really going to be used often. Ray of Enfeeblement is a concentration that makes targets with strength attacks do half damage, which is okay. I mean, there's certain fights maybe in Act 1 that you'd want to use that for, but we're going to take Hold Person, much better concentration here because you get free critical hits off against the enemy. I also like Spiritual Weapon as a bonus action too, but we can take that under next level. Level 4 also gives us another cantrip. Produce Flame is just good to have around this level. And then we're going to take the Spiritual Weapon, and for the feat, I'd recommend Alert. As mentioned, we want to go first whenever we're in combat so that we can set up the vulnerability to damage. This is really good if there's a spellcaster that you know is going to lay down some crowd control spells, because then you can target them, your fighter goes and takes them out in the next attack, or you have a spellcaster take them out, and then you don't have to deal with them anymore. I also like an ability score improvement on wisdom, but I think that the alert feature is much more beneficial here. Level 5 gives us our Revivify and Vampiric Touch. Those are all fun and great, but we got Spirit Guardians. We want this spell. I also like to grab the Mass Healing Word too, so if there's a spell you're not using, like you might have the Bless Ring, you can then grab the Mass Healing Word, and then your Bless will be applied to everyone with that. So you can get the Bless Ring from Volo early in the game. Sentinel at Death's Door. This is a really cool feature at level 6. We can turn a critical hit into a normal hit, which is huge because sometimes you just need to protect your teammates from going down. So this gives us a really good reaction, and we get another Channel Divinity charge. These we really want because we have a very good use for it, kind of similar to the Tempest Domain. I also recommend to grab a Glyph of Warding, and if you're a half-elf, you can throw it at your feet if there's enemies nearby because you don't get put to sleep, and they will. But it's also as good as like a short-range fireball. We also got level 7, the Blight spell, which is not bad, especially if you have the Staff of Cherished Necromancy, because you can continually keep casting this with a disadvantage on the target's save. Then there's also the Death's Ward spell, which is great to have. We also wouldn't mind grabbing the Guardian of Faith, sometimes in doorways that can be really fun to use just to block enemies off and attack them. Level 8 gives us our potent spellcasting, adding a wisdom modifier to our cleric cantrips. Great. It's always nice to get those boosts there. I prefer the divine strike, but this is the way it goes. Now 8 is a really good spell to also have. An ability score improvement at level 8 is fantastic. Although if you're not going to use the Constitution Amulet, the Warcaster to hold your concentration on Spirit Guardians is really good to take. But you could also just go with the ability score improvement here. Tough Feet for additional health can also work well too. Level 9, this gives us our Insect Plague spell, and we also get Greater Restoration. Insect Plague's pretty decent crowd control. We can also grab Flame Strike, although don't always recommend using it. And then the Mass Cure Wounds is just a more emergency heal as we can get those max rolls. If our whole team ends up going down, that'd be actually a good time to use it, but most of the times not. I guess we'll use Bursting Sinew, not really the best cantrip, but it's one that's there and we can choose it. So we'll go with it because it's kind of fun. And then for our next level spell, I guess we can re-add Bless, or Sanctuary is actually a good one to have too. Should have taken it a little bit earlier. If someone prefers having Sanctuary, it's always good to have it. At level 11, this is when we get our best spell in the game with Planar Ally, because this allows us to summon in a Genie, which can push enemies off of ledges. The Deva is great because it can revive your team, and then the Cambion is okay, but we like the Genie and the Deva here. And then we also got Hero's Feast, which can really boost up your overall team's health points. And once we hit level 12, this gives us the ability to take our Hero's Feast here, but we can also take this from level 12 to level 20. I'm going to show you level 20 just to show off the level 17 ability. At level 12, we'll take a Wisdom increase and max that stat out. If you're at level 12, though, that's perfectly okay. You can just see what's coming next if you really wanted to, but I actually think this class works very well as a level 12 class. So we get another level spell slot up to level 7 here, and we just get to continually keep picking away at some spells. This is going to be all spells we don't really need, but we don't get any access to new spells. So we'll just kind of ignore that and continue leveling up here. This just gives us access to, again, more spell slots for higher level spell casting, and we can upcast our Spirit Guardians even further. Once we get up to this level, I like to take the Tough Feet. It's health as a resource, and we are the healer, but we're also a really good support for making sure that others get back up if they go down. So we want to have the Tough Feet. I think that this is just a good one to have. An extra 40 health if you go to level 20. Now, level 17, this is when we get our special ability, the Keeper of Souls. So this is a little different from how it works. If you play D&D tabletop, you may know this to be a little bit different because it affects your hit die, which are not a thing in Baldur's Gate 3. So you can see the trace of a vitality from a parting soul and use it on the to heal the living. When a nearby enemy dies, you can heal them for 15 health points flat out. So you can apply it to yourself or an ally, which is just a nice little boost to your overall healing, which is kind of something that isn't always like the best option in Baldur's Gate 3 in the action economy. So anytime you can heal as like a bonus, always good. Level 18 gives us another channel divinity, which is great. We get those per short rest, so we can actually apply our attack pretty commonly in combat. We got every single spell that we want. You can also go with the spell sniper here if you really wanted to take Eldritch Blast, which will give 4 beams at level 20, which is pretty fun. Ritual Caster to take some different spells that you want. I think Lucky actually has its time and its place here because Lucky's just a really fun spell. And I do think it works well here. And if you want to go really crazy, my favorite is the Dual Wielder Feat. Any dual staves, it just works well here, and you're going to see why. So I'm going to go with this just because I think this can be fun. And then level 20 just gives us another leveled spell slot, and booyah, we got more spells. My recommendation is to grab yourself a Staff of Spell Power, which gives you the Arcane Battery. Take that, take your Planar Ally here. Make sure you get yourself the Genie or Diva, depending on what you want there. And then we can also go around and there's more items. There's the Spell Crux Amulet, which lets us restore a spell slot. So we can then go ahead and cast Hero's Feast on the team, which is going to give us another boost to our raw health here. So boom, and then the Genie goes from 161 to 173. And then we can take the Aid spell, and we can actually upcast this a lot. It becomes pretty crazy with that extra 40 health. You don't have to do this, like even just going with like level 5 or level 6 or 20 or 25. I'm going to do the max health just for the lulz. 315 health is pretty absurd amount of survivability here. Now, since we are a Grave Cleric, we're support-based. That means we're going to use support-based gear. I know this may not seem perfectly thematic, but this is my second build on this, so I'm going to use Radiating Orb gear because this debuffs the enemy with an upwards of -10 to their attack rolls, which is effectively like giving your entire team 10 armor class against that enemy, which is absolutely crazy. So, Luminous Armor, Luminous Gloves. These actually work together well, and on top of that, we can take the Coruscation Ring here. Whenever we're illuminated by light source, we inflict Radiating Orbs with our spells. And then also the Callous Glow Ring, which does 2 points of radiant damage, which then reprocs our abilities here. The Luminous Armor does the Radiant Shockwave 3-meter radius explosion of radiating orbs. And then we also get the Holy Lance helmet, so whenever they do miss us, and they will, this will do 1d4 radiant damage, further proccing our abilities. And since we're applying statuses, we'll also go with the Boots of Stormy Clamor, which will apply 2 turns of Reverberation. What's funny about this is when we have 5 stacks of Reverberation, they can end up taking Thunder damage, which will then go ahead and reproc all our gear. If you want to swap off the Luminous Gloves, you can use the Gloves of Stormy, or the Gloves of the Belligerent Skies as well. You can also go with some of the other support-based ones, like the Hell Rider's Gloves, which you can get early on in the game, or the Reviving Hands, which will give Blade Ward whenever you heal targets. I just think this is more fun. There's also the Whispering Promise ring that you can get from Volo, which I mentioned earlier in the video, because the Whispering Promise will give Bless whenever you heal. That would probably be a little bit better, but I just want to show you some pretty funny things. I also mentioned dual wielding our staves. Marka Heshker, which has a pretty funny combination here, and the Staff of Cherished Necromancy. This is going to give us our Life Essence Harvest, which lets us cast necromancy spells for free, and then the enemies have disadvantage on them. So we have things like Harm, which can do upwards of 84 damage. This removes target's maximum health, though, just a little heads up. If they have missing health, won't be as effective. And then we also got like things like Blight Upcast, which can do upwards of a 12d8 or even a 13d8 if you have the spell slots for it, which is also absurd. So yeah, we got many great options, and we can apply disadvantage on them all. And we also can get lightning charges thanks to Kreska's favor. Make sure you use the Bolts of Doom. Lightning charges will give us even further abilities to proc damage, and we also get the Chain Lightning and Lightning Bolt for a bit of coverage moves. Glyph of Warding really is going to be the glyph of, coverage move here, though. Like upwards of a 10d8 or 11d8 of damage is pretty nice, especially when you're at a higher level here. So that is pretty good as well. So for combat, obviously the big component here is Path to the Grave, which applies that vulnerability. Utilize this on the enemy that has the most health, and you're in for a treat. Now, there's a lot of enemies surrounding us right now, so we're in kind of a pickle. So I'm going to use this on this target here, and now they have the... It also applies Reverberation because that's a status, so the Boots of Stormy Clamor actually trigger on that. I love that about a lot of these different things. I should have precasted Spirit Guardians as well to have that up before getting into a fight. But we also got, I guess, different options for a close range attack. Blade is decent enough, I think, to take this target out, so we'll go with that. But we also, I guess, have our Flame Strike here, which can sometimes we can get a little lucky and hit 3 targets with it. So this actually might be the best maneuver here. It is 2 damage types, so we'll try a little bit of a higher leveled one here just so that I can maybe take out these targets and hopefully take... Yeah, there we go. That was a big explosion. Good. And that took out all 3 of them. Perfect. So that was nice. All right, because I want to show off something else with this, I grabbed some Terrazol here, used it. Don't get addicted to it. It's some pretty strong stuff, giving you an extra action so that we can pop our Spirit Guardians. Now, the funny thing is, we can get a 98 version of this. I'm not going to go all the way up. Let's do the 78, which is obviously very powerful, but I just want to show off how strong a Cleric can get, just because there's people that don't think that a Cleric is one of the best classes in the game. Spirit Guardians proves that it... We got our Lightning Charges, 45 damage on that. What's even crazier, too, is if we had the Path to the Grave active on these enemies, we would actually be applying enough damage to them from the Spirit Guardians to probably take them out. That was crazy. They attacked us, missed, and ended up getting taken out because of our helmet. So yeah, Spirit Guardians is pretty absurd. And I guess too, since we have a bonus action, it's funny enough, we actually get an additional damage rider on the Staff of Cherished Necromancy. So it's not even a terrible idea sometimes to do a bonus action attack. But you can also grab the Keeper of Souls there to give yourself some health back. I think that this is just the best choice to go for an attack here, and we'll just roll the critical hit. It was enough to take him out. Perfect. And that target attacked us and missed, and then it ended up giving him 4 stacks of Reverberation and Radiating Orbs. Now we got the Sentinel of Death's Door. Perfect example here, turning a critical hit into a normal hit. And then that was a critical miss on Shadowheart. I wish it was a miss on me, because then we could attack with our helmet again, but... yeah, this is great because it does counter a lot of attackers, because once you have Radiating Orb set up, you then do additional radiant damage. You have the Genie here, which the Genie does Genie things, in which that, I mean, using Thunderwave to push people off of ledges. You sometimes can get really nice picks with this. I'm just going to skip because I feel it's a bit overpowered with everything else that we got going on with this. I just want to show off the strength of the Cleric. We got lucky with saving against Command Grovel. That would have been devastating. And the only thing we're missing is a multi-hit attack. Like if we had the Scorching Ray from like a light Cleric, that would have been perfect here. So we got to get a little creative. I guess I will use the Path to the Grave again. We have 3 actions, so we may as well use it. Anytime there's a spell caster, like I want to get rid of that character there, so I'm going to use this, make sure that they're affected by the Path to the Grave. And then we go ahead with our Glyph of Warding. And now what's cool is we can actually use a lesser amazing damage type like fire, and it's still likely going to take out that target there. So we set it down, boom, 40 damage. That was enough to take them out, and 2 of them there. Applied 10 turns of radiating orbs on this enemy, and we brought even more guards into the fight because they're so scared of us. What's great about this too is Terrazol gives us that extra action, so we can then go ahead here. Anytime that there's enemies nearby, we want to go touch them with the Spirit Guardian. So that was 29-1, 29-1. Yeah, crazy damage, and we can eat a few attacks. What's funny is since we have the tough feat, we have so much health that it's actually worth us to proc opportunity attacks, because whenever we, let's say they attack and miss, yeah, it reverberation hit them. Your helmet will hit them, they'll get reverberation. It's nutty. It's actually kind of fun. So you honestly want to just keep doing that there. And then if you want, you can then go ahead with the Glyph of Warding Sleep, which is pretty funny to drop down on people as mentioned there. So boom, puts them asleep. And then I guess one of them saved on it, but we're there just big chilling. And then we got our offhand attack for this one that didn't fall asleep with 8 stacks of radiating orbs. Is enough. Oh, we woke them up. And again, Genie is set up for another KO. This is a really high chance of landing, but I'm not going to do it. Oh, geez, they just exploded because it was their turn, and then they got hit with Spirit Guardians, and it took them both out. Call the Weak actually powers up Spirit Guardians quite a bit. I lost my... Oh, my Terrazol ran out, so I lost my turn. Sonic Backlash is another really fun one if you got the Lithid ability here, because this will actually trigger some of our other abilities, like the Coruscation Ring. So, yes, we got hit with the Ensnaring Strike, but we can fire back and then do a little bit of radiant damage, and that applied Radiating Orbs and Reverberation on that enemy, so that's pretty good. And this target just got hit with our helmet, which then applied the Radiating Orbs and Reverberation. Absolutely crazy what this spell can do, just by applying statuses like Radiating Orbs, which then applies our Reverberation, knocking them prone, which will then proc even further damage. We got our turn back since we lost our... we don't have the Terrazol Jitters anymore. But honestly, yeah, that's how you take them out. You just have to walk towards them. And then we'll use the Eyes of the Grave. They only have 12 health points, but I want to see what the maximum... I used the Eyes of the Grave. I didn't mean to use that. I meant to use the Path to the Grave there to apply the weakness onto this enemy. That's fine. We can then just go ahead with a little Sanctuary, keeping Shadowheart safe here. We have still 304 health points, so we're big chilling. Alright, so they still have the Path to the Grave. This lets us use our Blight. I want to upcast it for the maximum damage that we can possibly see. A 45. That's nothing amazing, but hey, we took out the target. And I still haven't even used the Consume Life Essence, which then lets us do another free cast of Blight. So, yeah, it can be pretty silly. 98% hit chance, boom. The Staff of Cherished Necromancy giving you unlimited casting of your Necromancy spells becomes crazy because Blight's actually not a bad damage spell when you upcast, especially at level 20. Obviously, that's a little bit overpowered to use Tactician Enhanced. But then you also get like Harm as well as a spell that you can use. And if you want to multi-class in the Wizard, you can learn Circle of Death. We also got Chain Lightning. I didn't even use Chain Lightning because that would have been just absolutely silly. And then on top of that, we got Lightning Bolt. What's crazy about Lightning Bolt too is we apply Radiating Orbs with all of this. So yeah, you can do some pretty funny stuff with it. We do lots of different statuses. It's a very powerful build. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.